These days, most writing is done online, and it's not just writing words. There's other stuff to go with it. We got images, maybe a GIF or a video or an audio file or whatever. In other words, most writing these days is multimodal, meaning that there's multiple modes of communication, right? Textual, visual, whatever. A lot of things are multimodal, not just about anything published online these days. This instructional module is an example of multimodal work too. Pamphlets and brochures are classic examples. So are memes. And, technically speaking, so is an APA paper with a chart or a graph. It's great to include a chart or a graph in an APA paper because it helps readers sort of visualize your data. It's just another way to communicate information. So, in that sense, multimodality presents opportunities for writers, right? But it also presents challenges, and the challenges aren't just technical, like how do I do this? How do I embed a video? It's also like this question of, what media to embed and when. And a good example of that is these two BuzzFeed posts that I asked you to look at. Most students, when they look at this one, 14 creepy and strange facts, they just notice that there's all these GIFs, and it's like, okay, the people are surprised, right? That's what the GIFs all seem to kind of get. That I guess this is like the mind is blown or something like that. But it's like, surprised about what? You don't. To kind of figure out what's going on in this post, you actually have to stop and read the stuff, right? Compare that with this post, where the picture just tells the whole story, right? You look at this picture and you're like, oh yeah, you see exactly what happened. Same thing here too. And this is kind of makes a bit stronger of an impression than I don't know, like that, right? So this gets us at this idea that a good image kind of really tells you what is going on in the text. An example is just take a look at these two pictures here, right? You get a sense that these are both about the moon, right? But both these articles, and indeed they are, but they're about different aspects of the moon. This article is about a moon base. This article is about development of the moon. But if we start looking closer, we'll notice other things, right? Here, take a look here's the original article, right? Okay, yeah, moon base, right? Right there, first word in the title, right? And indeed, that's the picture kind of lines up to show us the topic. And we know that, we've seen before that a good picture can tell you the topic of an article, but pictures can tell us more, right? Like, for instance, take a look at this picture about development of the moon. How do you think the author feels about developing the moon? Is it a coincidence that there's a red moon here? What do you associate the color red with? If you take a look at this original article, take a look at the title, Bringing Capitalism to the Moon, and look at what it's filed to here, and then, look at the opening lines here. This author is upset. He's got an impassioned tone. He's angry, and that comes through in the choice of the lead image. It's purposeful that the moon is red. That's there to communicate information to us. Same thing happening when you look at these two pictures. They're both about issues affecting trans people, but they strike a different tone. This one feels kind of celebratory, right? And indeed, it is, right? Here's the original article. It's celebrating the defeat of a piece of legislation. But you get a different vibe from this picture. What's up with the all the shadows? Look at the original article. That's the disturbing history of research, and it's the images there to provide that sense that there is something kind of dark and sinister here, right? Or take a look at these two pictures. Both of these are from articles about dinosaurs' cloaca, which is this thing here where the feces comes out of. Great, but same dinosaur, right? You see the little thing, the feathers or whatever, the hairs on the tail. But doesn't this one kind of feel different? Like, what's up with the censored thing? Well, in fact, this one is from a very silly article, right, with a very kind of humorous tone, right, and it's very personal in nature, right? Notice how there's all this kind of first person stuff going on. Compare that to this thing from I think what's this, from New Scientist or something like that. Look at the tone here and how different the language feels. There's nothing kind of personal going on here. This is all kind of just scientific language. So really, this kind of brings us to this idea of how images can really impart, a variety of moods. And a good example is, this is a fine difference, but these are both pictures from articles about Jeff Bezos. All right. But look at there's a lot of pictures of Bezos out there. So why did they choose these particular pictures? Notice this is from a Wall Street Journal article, and notice how he looks serious, but he also looks calm, and he's kind of gazing off into the future. Whereas this picture is kind of a weird choice. He's doing weird stuff with his hands, and he's got this kind of goofy look on his face. Well, in fact, this Wall Street Journal article is just here to tell us the facts. He pledged $10 billion. Well, and it's just kind of reporting. Whereas this second one is, kind of here to make fun of him. Look at, well, he's killing the planet anyway, so good for him for pledging some money. The picture kind of tips you off that that's coming, though. So this is something we can keep in mind. A good lead image will really tell readers a few things. The topic, what we're writing about, but also we can start getting a main idea and tone. But also, images can also start getting us into things like logical division of ideas. So let me show you something from an R4B student writer. Here's the lead image. Take a look at the lead image. What do you think this article is going to be about? And then what ideas do you think this writer will discuss? Well, you kind of get a sense that this is about online dating, but I don't know. You kind of get a sense of the author's opinion from this collection of pictures and how the ideas are organized. Take a look now at the original piece here. Indeed, it's about online dating, and the author's got a kind of a critical opinion. We should stop doing this. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is the self-esteem thing. Take a look here, right there in the topic sentence. This is about self-esteem, and it goes with the picture, right? And another reason is about, well, there's so many options, right? And the more options, well, that can be overwhelming. Again, right there in the topic sentence. So here the images have worked together to show us the division of ideas in the piece, right? And that's pretty effective. All right, so multimodal assets can include a lot of different stuff, right? As we've mentioned, there's things like text and images and GIFs and video clips, audio files too. But if we get beyond the world of writing, we can get into other modes that we can communicate. You can communicate through sense of touch, or even sense of smell. There's this kind of ride at Disneyland that's called like Soarin' Around the World or something like that. But you kind of get to see stuff, and there's like some occasional bits of text, but they pump different smells into the the room where you're doing the ride at different times to kind of like when you fly over the bay, you smell there's like a ocean breeze kind of smell. And this is all just ways to communicate information. We're not at the point where we can make our readers smell stuff while they're reading our writing, but who knows what's coming in the future. Whatever assets we're working with, you end up with this idea of intermodal cohesion. How does everything come together to be coherent? Right? Like, does the feel of the image match the feel of the words, and so on? Does the sequence of the image match the sequence of the text? This is the challenge, I think, the true challenge, beyond any technical challenge of multimodal writing, and that's what we're going to be practicing in this part of the semester.